Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's nice to be here with you all. Um, just a couple of quick announcements here. I have a online retreat December 18, 19, and 20. And so if you would like to sign up for that retreat, please visit my website and there's details there. We'd love to have you. I know it's a little bit last minute, but I thought I'd put it together. Just something real quick because a lot of people have been asking me. And so that's one thing. And then the second one is the next 2 or 3 days. If you look on Amazon, I have a new book out, The Yoga of Liberation. And one of the things I like about this book is I filled it almost every chapter with inquiry questions and with short little meditations and practices. And so I wanted the book to focus on you connecting with your direct experience because that's what this path is really all about, is you connecting with you being with your presence. And of course that's what we do on retreat, is we dive deeply into the direct experience of your true nature. And so I'd like to speak a little bit about I was just spent a week in Northern California. My younger brother has a really big ranch out there in Trinity County. So it's up there by Humboldt County, close, about an hour from the ocean, and this really dense, just magnificent forest. And so I got to spend some time, just the other day in the redwoods and on the ocean. And the beautiful thing about this place is, well, there was no internet. There was no phone service as well. I couldn't even make a phone call. Um, it was hard enough just to try to send a text. And so I basically put everything away and gave myself permission to walk in the trees and just melt into the direct experience of nature. Just unfathomable beauty in all these different species of trees he has, and just walking in fields and walking on the ocean, walking before these massive redwood trees. Another place I was at was a little further in. I think it's called Lassen Volcanic National Park, and there were giant trees there as well. They weren't even redwoods. I think they must have been Doug firs. And the funny thing about being in nature, I guess the profound thing of being in nature is if your eyes are open, you see beauty and majesty everywhere. And I'm going to encourage you just to practice that right now. If you can just sink back out of your mind and join me in the direct experience of this moment. Can you see me fully? Are you with me fully? My heart is with your heart in this moment. I can feel your heart. And the beauty of it, the innocence of it, the love of it. Some people I can feel are hurting. And so when you're with something fully, you experience all of what's here. And so when I was in the redwoods, the thing about the redwoods is they have such a wonderful vibration. It's like a nature's church, the redwoods, and there's something very specific about it. You can feel it. Even different groves of redwoods actually feel different, if you can believe it, because these trees have a consciousness to them. And so I was in Arcata, and they have a grove of redwoods there, and walking around that, and it just feels so magical. Like at any moment, some gnomes could just jump out, but that the trees were alive, the air was alive, clouds were alive, just the canopy was just alive, radiating in such a beautiful way, a magical way. When I drove up the coast and went to different groves of redwoods, they came with a different quality of mystery and different quality of radiance. When I was on my brother's ranch, and he has countless species of trees, it felt like something quite different altogether. And that's the beautiful thing about nature, is it has this ability to wake you up. Our nature is always speaking to us, just radiating light and love and colors and peace, spaciousness, silence. And then it's just some magic, floating through the air, whether it's in the form of an eagle or a seagull or a little ant. There were times when I was walking my brother's property, and it was really wet. There was the rainy season, which is which is good because they had lots of fires this year. But so I'd look at these old leaves, in a zen-like way. You'd see one fall off a tree, hit the earth, and immediately begin to compost itself. So I'd get down and look close at the colors, the veins, and just felt all of life speaking back to me. And then the funny thing I wanted to say was I went to the beach, and it's almost December. I ran out there. I jumped in, of course. I couldn't help myself. But I saw so many people get out of their cars and they would stand on the beach staring at their phones. It's like, my God, the majesty, the beauty, the wonder that's there. And to stare down at your phone. And so, even though we're meeting here online, in theory, we're doing something good here. We're trying to uplift ourselves and connect to a higher vibration. I encourage each and every one of you to become more consciously aware of how much time you spend just being lost online, lost. How much of your time is spent being lost, or you're confused, or just not really present, just scrolling mindlessly here or there. And can you give yourself permission to unhook from, at least say, clicking around? What my wife might call walking in circles. Walking in circles, doing nothing on the internet. If you're here, be here. Be here fully and completely. Fully and completely. And so just time and time again of this last week, it was so nice to unhook and completely recharge. Recharge. Unhook from the web and to hook into nature. Hook into the silence, the spaciousness, the radiance in any moment. This morning we drove there, and so this morning I woke up in the Southwest again. I drove really late last night, coming home from California, and got into somewhere in Utah, outside of Moab. And I just woke up this morning, just saw the huge, immense desert. It's like the vastness here in the desert feels so different than the vastness at the ocean. Feels different than, a grove of redwoods. But even right now, can you connect to the peace, the silence, the freedom as it's showing up in the here and now in your experience? In your experience. So what is that like? And so if you join me in just stepping into the silence, and I'll ask you a fun question. Where did you come from? Where did you come from? And so I do not mean your body. I do not mean where were you born, like geographically on a map. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. But where did you come from? Where did your consciousness come from? I was sitting today in the desert and this question came to me. Where did you come from? Now the thinking mind, it doesn't always know what to do with such a question. And so this is a question for your presence, from you to you. So you're not asking the character, the story, one who was born here or there. Where do you come from? And what is it that you are? Beyond your story, beyond your conditioning. What is it that you are? Beyond your conditioning. What are you made of? It's another fun one. And again, I do not mean the flesh of your body, but what are you made of? Where did you come from? What is it that you are? What are you made of? So if you stop and allow awareness to turn upon itself, what are you made of? This presence that you are. What is it? So many of us were so quick to place a label on ourselves of what we are. I was with my family this week, my big family, and there was someone there, someone new, and they asked me a question like that, like, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Kentucky." If I say that, I'm from Kentucky, I can say it with a little bit of that southern drawl, a little bit of my accent. It starts to paint a picture But that's not the truth. I come from heaven. I was made in heaven, made of radiance. You're the great mother, Prajna Paramita, ineffable, indescribable, great mystery, gave birth to me as she did to you. But let's not even pick up that story, huh? Where did you come from? And can you allow your answer uh, just to arise out of the vast silence? And for it to arise experientially, not necessarily with words or a philosophy. Experientially. Experientially. What is it that you are? And so, I see some questions are starting to come in, and I have some questions from email. Forgive me if I didn't get to your email. Like I said, wasn't even able to get on the internet. So, so if I missed your email, forgive me. So, uh, I love it when people write in little messages messing with me. Is that doodles on your cup? That's what someone wants to know. Uh, my cup says life is better with the doodles, but this is not what doodles looks like. He looks like a little Ewok. Um, but anyways, okay, so in all seriousness, here's a question from Adrian in New York City. Hi, Craig. Hi, Adrian. I miss you, Adrian. I'm going to just start off saying that. You have a big heart, a beautiful presence. And I just want to let you know I miss you, my friend. It's been a while. So Adrian writes, Craig, can you talk about obsessive energy around feeling reactions? Can a situation of rejection from another person be the universe's way of bringing up old conditioning and trauma to heal? Adrian, you asked a question and you answered it. Yes. Um, so rejection hurts when you're in your small self. Rejection hurts when you're in your small self. So if I, play one of those games, like a numbers game that people play online. Oh, one of my friends, a good friend of mine, it's a little silly story, but a good friend of mine, he's a big music producer. And I was talking with his son one day, and he said, Craig, he's from England. And this little boy said, Craig, I noticed that some of your videos don't get very many views. And I said, oh, did you notice that? And he said, well, some of them only get, 300 or 500. And, he was just comparing me to people who go viral or people who are more popular or this or that. And I could have easily, in that moment, felt like I needed to defend myself or that the world rejects me or what I have to say or whatever it is. Um, Donald Trump gets a bazillion views. Craig Holliday maybe a couple hundred. Um, and so, if I go into my small self, I actually don't care anymore how many views there are. I just care that your heart is with me. Uh, but a lot of people, when you identify with your, I'll call it your small heart, your small self, your egoic nature, it's an insecure way of being. And so then you count views, you count likes, you count, all that silly stuff that people do on Instagram. But when you're connected to the hugeness of what you are, when you're connected, Adrian, to your true heart is so beautiful. And so when you're in your true heart, someone says, hey, I don't like you. There's just a sense of, it's not that you don't care. You actually see that that person is in pain. You have compassion for them. You see their suffering. You see that the only reason people say mean things is because they're in pain. So if someone outwardly, like harshly rejects you, you see they do it because they're in pain, because they are disconnected from their ego. And you feel love for them. And it doesn't hurt you because you see they are hurting. Craig, can you talk about obsessive energy around a feeling, um, a feeling of rejection? So what we do, normally what humans do, is instead of being connected to your true nature, we're connected to our ego, which is insecure. And because it's insecure, because it's not real. One, that's probably good enough. Because it's not real, you need lots of people to kind of blow up your self-esteem. The ego is like an empty balloon. You get a lot of people around liking you. It fills up that balloon, makes you feel big. But you're still just full of empty air. Empty air. That's why you need more and more people to like you. It's never enough. It's never enough. You know, sometimes I meet people and they say they need to make $100,000 to be happy. I say, okay. The next time I see them, they need to make, $400,000 to be happy. I say, okay. Then 500, then a million, then 8 million to be happy. I've met people, multi-millionaires, completely miserable. They comparing themselves to their billionaire friends. It's silly. And so if someone rejects you and you feel hurt, that's life telling you, one, are disconnected from your truth, which is content, which is love, which is whole, which is complete. Like your heart is enough. Your heart, Adrian, is not deficient. Your heart is whole and complete. So if you feel rejection, you have to step away from your complete heart, the wholeness that you are, the unity that you are, and you have to step into a smaller aspect of yourself that can be hurt. And so life reflects that to us. Anytime you get your heart broken, it's because you've given your power away to another. I want you, I need you, I love you, baby, baby. you know, how every song on the radio goes. It's just, I give my power away to you. You have my power. You break my heart. I'm deficient. That's the trance of ego. The experience of truth is, oh, I'm whole. I'm beautiful. I'm full. I am life itself. I am a fountain of love. A fountain of love. And so the great question becomes then, well, how do you heal this? Through loving yourself to death. So you get in touch with the truth of your nature. And if it's that's hard, just find that small, teeny little bit of light that you can find within your heart. And from that place, you love the place that's hurting. So you see the ego and you say, I see you and I love you and I care. And so, say, we'll make it fun here. I had a girlfriend once. My friends used to call her Susie Cream Cheese. I'm not sure why, but that's what they called her. Everyone just had fun with it. Susie Cream Cheese. So Susie Cream Cheese broke my heart when I was 19 or 20, maybe 21. I can't remember, but she broke my heart. And all day long I thought, I want you, I need you, I gotta have you back. But I gave my power away to Susie. She had my heart. And she moved on to somebody else. I mean, many years later, when I took my heart back, when I discovered my heart, the beauty of my heart, the goodness of my heart, the indestructible nature of my heart. And then Susie wanted to be friends with me later on. And I realized, oh, I don't really need Susie, or I don't really, I don't really have time for her. We were on a different level then. And just I don't need that. I don't need anything. But the way you get to not needing anything is through overwhelming your own self, your human self, with love. So when you love your human self to death, like that old saying, you kill it with kindness, then the insecurity dissolves. And in the place of a broken heart is unconditional heart. Unconditional heart. So you love that place within you that's been rejected, you love it to death. So you sit with it, you say, I see you, I love you, I care. I want Susie Cream Cheese to see me, love me, and care, but she's off doing her own thing. So she's not going to do it. I'm going to do it. So Adrian loving Adrian. God loving God. Okay. Um, Angela from Kentucky. Hi, Angela. um, anyways, let's see here. Just seeing people popping up into the room here. Hi, Elizabeth from Austria. How do you say hi? You say V Gates, Los. So, here's a question from Richard. Richard writes, all right, Craig, I want to hear about gray areas today. A woman who has to tell her abusive ex-husband that she is sending him pictures of the children and slips in divorce papers because it has been impossible to serve him due to him intentionally avoiding. A woman staying in an abusive relationship because she and her children would be vulnerable socially, financially, and otherwise if she left. And it's too easy to say, leave, and God will support you. That feels not right, like a spiritual bypass. These are just some examples of gray areas of complexity and nuance. You talk about keeping things clean, but if we're honest, life isn't clean. It's messy and infinitely complex. I know this is a both and. I just want to provide a jump off point for you. Um, yeah, I can speak about that. So life is a complete and utter mess. Life for many of us is an ongoing train wreck. It's like one train wreck after the next. Um, so the basic truth here is, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say something that's going to be a little bit contradictory here. So yes, life is infinitely complex and messy, but the truth is almost always ridiculously simple. Ridiculously simple. So in the case of, say, the woman in an abusive relationship, yes, she has to leave. And the sooner she leaves, the more efficient the healing will be. Now, I've lived through divorce, and divorce is completely and utterly messy. What I did with my divorce is I spread it out over 5 years, maybe even longer, maybe 7 years. And, it's like having a wound and then it starts to scab up and then just like kind of picking the scab, little bits of it off. So it was always just oozing blood and I was, losing energy. We, me and my partner at the time, we were both incredibly poor. So we relied on each other financially. Um, we relied on each other to take care of the children. I mean, I probably could say it was abusive, but um, she probably would have said the same thing about me. People use that word so lightly now, but uh, real abuse, like real physical abuse or just emotional abuse, you have to leave. Like that's the deal. And sometimes it's your path to walk away real slowly. For her to have faith for 5 years while she's squirreling away money from him, you know, maybe going back to school, getting a night job, whatever it is, finding her own place. But what I encourage is for people to have faith and to pray all along the way, to listen to your truth all along the way. So during my 7 years of trying to leave a relationship, let's just call it 7 for fun, when I finally left, what happened is life morphed around me and made my life work. Just everything started to fall into place after I left. I probably could have left on day one and it probably just would have all sorted itself out on day one. On day two, on day two, it would have sorted itself out. But this world is a evolutionary world. So now I'll contradict what I just said. And sometimes we need a little bit of time to get things in place. But the great question is do you trust that God is in your life always? Whether you have lots of money or no money. Whether you have 10 kids or no kids. Whether the ex-husband is abusive or not abusive. Do you trust? Do you know? Do you experience that God is with you always? And so that's a good place for her. If you're talking about you helping her, like you, Richard, as a counselor, um, you can only support people where they're at. So some people need 10 years to transition. Some people are slow movers. And so you just support them with the next step. The next step. But God is here in every situation. Because I think, in your question, it's almost like there's you didn't say this, but it's almost like you are saying, or that God is not in complexity. Of course, God is in complexity. God is the most complex there is. Look at the world. Look what God has created. God is in the gray areas. God is in the black and white. But at the end of the day, the truth, it's always very simple. It's always very simple. It's time to be done. The implementation of the truth is not always simple. In your example here, with the woman who's going to be a single mom and have to take care of kids and find employment and all that, yeah, that's a mess. That's going to be a lot of work. But again, the truth is simple. You got to leave. You got to start a new life. And do you trust that God is with you when you start saving money? Do you trust that God will take care of your children? Do you trust that your children um, will still be loved? Do you trust that your children that they have souls? They will outlive this experience of divorce and abuse. Do you trust that? The more you trust in your soul and everyone's soul, uh, the less freaked out by life you are. Like, you know what I mean? If you know that you will outlive this experience, that the mother in the example, the single mom, will outlive it, she'll move on, she'll grow, that she's a goddess. If you trust that, if you know that, then you have faith. And part of you helping others is when you have faith that God is everywhere, in all things, even in tragedy, that God is even in tragedy. When you trust that God is even in tragedy, something shifts inside. And you realize you have everything you need, even when you don't. I hope that was somewhat helpful. Hi, Craig. Can you speak about the connection between the physical body and the spiritual energies, such as chi or prana? Are there other ways of increasing this type of energy besides yoga and meditation? Thanks so much. Yes. So, can you speak about the connection between the physical body and spiritual energies? Well, I'll say this. The physical body is made of chi. It's made of prana. Everything is made of prana. Like everything. The more you start to wake up, if you just look at anything, you know, look at anything. I'm just trying to grab something inside of my book here. So let's just look at this. When you look at anything just for a couple seconds, you start to see the light dancing off the very thing you're looking at. That's chi, that's prana. So whatever you look at, like if you look at me right now, you look into my eyes, you know, you'll see chi, you'll see prana pouring out of it. If you look in your eyes right now, in a mirror, you'll see chi and prana pouring out of you. You look at your hand, see chi and prana pouring out of your hands. Whatever it is, I have a microphone in front of me. It's made of chi. It's made of prana. Now, traditionally, chi and prana refer to the spiritual energies that, flow through the chakras and the meridians and the nadis throughout the body. But chi and prana make up the body, make up your hair, your teeth, your your flesh, your chakras, which are non-flesh. It's like asking a quantum physicist, what is matter? What's energy? Well, what's that? It's light. What's that? It's it's just dancing. dancing electricity. Are there ways of increasing chi and prana besides yoga and meditation? Sure. Exercise. Um, I mean, I can do jujitsu and my prana and chi increase. I can do Muay Thai, kickboxing, and my energy increases. I can, run or hike. When I was in the redwoods, I just felt my whole body just becoming huge and like melting into the redwood forest, becoming one with it. So what's that? I wasn't doing any yoga or meditation. I was just walking in the woods with my eyes open. Um, are there ways of increasing it? Yeah, there's all kinds of ways. Breath work, holotropic breath work, pranayama, um, chanting mantras, these types of things can increase your chi. I'll even say it this way: when your kundalini wakes up, your kundalini will increase you. It's not you increasing it, it is increasing you. Now, how's that for an experience? And we have to be careful messing with energy because it's like, well, what is my intention? If you increase your energy too much artificially, you can overwhelm your human body. But if you take it, say step by step, then um, it won't be so, say, for example, dramatic for you. I hope that makes sense. And some people, they just get excited about energy, like the same way someone might get excited about, I don't know, um, doing lots of, you know, THC or something. I just wanted to kind of get blasted into some big experiences, and I like a slow, steady approach if we're playing with energy. Some people, their energy can awaken real quickly. That happened with me. It happened with a lot of people I work with, and then it can be quite overwhelming. It takes the body a while to catch up. Okay. Um, Here's some questions from email. Give me a minute here. I'm going to see. People sent me some very, very long emails, and I'm going to remind everyone, short emails are better. My brain doesn't work with long. Going back to Richard's question about complexity, and I found this with my teacher too. Whenever I gave my teacher anything complex, just really complex, he lost the ability to hear all the complexity. And sometimes he would just say, kind of blurt out like little short, pith instructions. Like, Craig, why don't you just stop? Can you just stop? And I realized that's all I needed to hear. I didn't need to tell him all the details. Craig, can you just stop? Oh yeah, stopping's good. Stopping's good. So say like back to Richard's question of, with the lady who's struggling with her ex-husband and this and that. Can you pray to God? Show up and do your best and let go and trust. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. So, lots of long, complicated questions. Healing is very simple. It's very basic. You breathe, you feel, you experience, you let go. It's hardwired into us. It's only our mind that slows the thing down. Okay, here's a question. I think this is from Wes, but I could be wrong here. Um, Hi, Craig. Strange as it feels to write it, it took India and Hinduism for me to find Christ. It took India to finally return home after so many years to the first true teacher I've been graced to know. Your teachings, then, Craig, in this light, is one of the handful of other teachings/teachers like Adya and Eckhart Tolle, Rupert Spira, who have helped to deepen that relationship. It's perhaps no coincidence that I first met you in person at Christ in the Desert Monastery. Um, this is Wes, yeah. I imagine there are others in the Sangha who feel this way, who have perhaps followed a similar trajectory. So again, thank you, Craig. My question, Craig, and I hope it comes across as sincere and non-judgmental, okay, is what does it mean to you to associate with the church? This is a funny question. What does it mean to associate with the church? So my daughter goes to Catholic school, and I spoke a lot about the church last year. I was a part of a Christian men's group, like a Catholic men's group, for a while before the coronavirus hit and made everything too complicated. So his question goes on to write, I find that I am curious what role or benefit you find in associating with the Catholic Church. I'll say this, I'll be real blunt at first. I probably, now I'm going to say something arrogant just for fun, just to kind of make a point. I probably don't benefit much from that association with the church. But I'll say this, the church benefits from me. Now that's going to sound really arrogant, as it rolls off my lips there. But I'll say this. Let me tell let me tell you how it benefits from me. Because I'm a very progressive, forward-thinking individual, and I have a universal vision, say, of Christ. Uh, the church, which is a I can say this without being too mean. It's kind of an archaic structure left over from the time of, like kings and queens and hierarchies and all that kind of silliness. And so me, as someone who shows up, I don't necessarily go there to receive anything from the church. I go there to give of myself to the church, to help the church evolve, to help my church evolve, to help it progress into something greater. And I don't even have to say like I'm doing it, me individually. It's any modern day Catholic, say for example, who disagrees, say, subtly with the church. Like for example, on the topic of, gays or homosexuals or whatever. The church had really strict views in the past, but because more and more individuals like myself not only are accepting of, individuals who are gay, but who are advocates for them within the church. So if I advocate for the church to grow, for the church to evolve, I'm helping the church to evolve. So the more the Sangha, the community of the church, the people, if they outgrow, say, the old grumpy priest, it's part of our job to help the old grumpy priest to get with the times. And the Pope, I think it was just a month ago or so, came out with some great um, proclamation, something to the effect that gay people are not bad. They are welcome in the church. It's like, hey guys, it's 2020. Thank you for your progressive movement here. And finally, that was a big step forward for the church, but that should have happened since the beginning. And that's part of what Christ's teaching was as a revolutionary. He fully accepted women. He fully accepted, the tax collector, those who are ostracized. And so, what is my job in the church? I like to think of myself, he goes on to write, I know there are other broad-minded Christians like Richard Rohr, Pope Francis, that's what I'm speaking about now. The word Catholic, um, the word Catholic does mean universal, but most Christians are not so mystically oriented. I'd like to hear what your Catholicism means to you, and here you speak about the benefit you find from associating with the church. I love churches. And I don't mean grumpy old men, wearing costumes, the priest. I love walking in the Catholic Church. I love the temple of the church. It's a home of Christ, one of the homes of Christ, besides your own heart. um, there's just something there. There's something in it when I walk into any church, even if the church has an ongoing abuse scandal happening within its community. So I've been a part of those churches numerous times throughout my childhood and adult years. The scandal going on. But I walk in that church and I feel the love of Christ. And so I receive the love of Christ through the physical building of the church. Can I walk outside the church and feel the love of Christ? Absolutely. Can I find Christ within my own self? Absolutely. But there's something about it. I don't know what it is, but something I love about the church. And again, I'll be rude here. I never listen to the priest. I'll say rarely listen to the priest. Because most of the time I have no idea what they're talking about. And most of the time they're in their head and in some kind of ritualistic place. So all that stuff, I just let it go, just roll off my back like a duck coming out of water. I don't connect on the level of ritual. I go in and I connect on the level of heart. And I receive the beauty of God. Whether it's the worst priest or a great priest. If it's a great priest, there's a good chance, me and him are in alignment, or he's inspiring me in some way or pointing out something I had not seen. Like Father Richard Rohr points out all kinds of things. I'm like, oh, that's what that story means. I already knew what the truth was, but I just didn't know what that story was, and the story was a reminder. And so Richard Rohr is good at pointing that out. Father Thomas Keating was another one. My teacher David, his wife was a nun with Father Bede in South India. And so, like, Catholicism in South India is really different than, say, Catholicism in, I don't know, uh, St. Louis, Missouri. So the Catholicism of Father Bede in South India was non-dual. And my Catholicism has always been non-dual. And I don't like so much labels and this and that. But just ever since I've been a kid, I had a great love for Jesus. And if I call upon Christ, Christ, will you come into me and flood me with your light? Will you come into this song and bless us with your unity, your love, your higher consciousness? Will you bless us with a gentle compassion and your sweet strength? Will you wipe the tears from our eyes and lift us up? Lift us up on eagle's wings. And so when I call forth Christ, I feel great love. I feel great love. And here in this moment of calling forth Christ, as in Jesus, the great master. There's also the universal Christ, which is very much the same as the question that Kyle asked. about prana and chi. That's what the Christ is. Christ is the aliveness of life, the goodness of life, the supreme innocence, vast, indestructible, spacious radiance is what the Christ is. Um, so, Wes, there's just something sweet about it. Something sweet. And it's just, it's something I've connected to. It's something I've had many lifetimes in monasteries, Catholic monasteries, Franciscan monasteries, maybe Jesuit monasteries, I don't know. All those little distinctions to me seem like silliness. I love the silence of just connecting with the Christ, both the individual Christ and the universal Christ. I love it. I feel the sweet love of Jesus. I've always felt like, just to be silly, that I've had a friend in Jesus, literally, since day one, that Christ has been with me. And so I bow, I prostrate before Christ. I'd like to say I give my heart to Christ. And so I know the church is very backwards, very slow to change. It's way too big. Um, but I don't pay attention to any of that nonsense. I rarely pay attention to it. And if I am paying attention to it, sometimes it's in a transformative role where I'm helping the slow, old moving church to grow, just as you are as well, through you continuing to love and open your heart to Christ. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people who've been harmed by the church who then make an egoic leap, like a logical, an irrational, trying to be logical leap of the church has been bad to me, so therefore I must hate Jesus. Like, no, no, no. The church is one thing, Jesus is another. The church is a bunch of grumpy old men in most cases. Of course, there's some women as well. Um, but, again, it's like politics. I don't pay attention to politics. It just seems like nonsense. I vote, of course, send in all my petitions and all that for the causes I care about, but I'm not going to get too involved in their world. Okay, here's a question. Craig, my name is Thomas. I'm 19. A few years ago, I began practicing Kriya Yoga, which was the first time I believe I felt energy being manipulated in my spine. Fast forward, I was combining this practice with a strong determination to sit, a Zen practice where you try to stay completely still, where I felt the whole length of my spine vibrate as the energy was gushing upwards. I then initiated into a Kriya, um, a Mahamudra Kriya, in the presence of Sadhguru. And I was then only practicing um, this for a little bit. I felt the energy toss my body all around. My question is, have you ever heard of the third eye breakage? Do you know what has happened to me? So he goes on to write, this is a long email. Let me see if I can just cut through some of it here. On occasion, I was practicing self-inquiry. I was instructed to focus intensely on my direct experience. I was tensing my mind very hard on what was in front of me. In doing so, I felt a line of attention that directed energy through my third eye that would press on the actual chakra itself. And then suddenly the attention pressed through the third eye and it broke. I felt this kind of liquid energy spill out, fall down my face and throughout my body. I was scared. I stopped practicing. Have you ever heard of third eye breakage? Okay, I just want to be clear here, Tommy. You cannot break your chakras. You can't mess this up. You're a divine being. A divine being. You are indestructible, literally. Literally. Indestructible. So just to get to the heart of the question, you can't mess it up. But let me tell you what you can do. So when we start playing with energy in very specific and exact ways, forcing energy through one chakra or another, um, you can temporarily have some wild energetic experiences. I've had 1,000,001 wild energetic experiences, like you're describing. Energy pouring out of me and, feeling like the chakra explodes and then contracts, then maybe disappears, then maybe feels numb or dead, or there's pouring energy out, bleeding energy out of a chakra. There's countless experiences you can have, but you can't break what you are. It's indestructible. So from your question, I can say you probably just need to relax a little bit. Just relax. And one of the things that happens is if you don't have a teacher, and by a teacher I mean someone, say, you meet with weekly, um, you might just trip over all kinds of experiences. So when I was 14, I started having very powerful spiritual experiences. I didn't have a teacher then. And it was really bizarre. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was going mad. I thought I was losing my mind. In a sense, I was. Um, but once I met my teacher when I was 18, very quickly I'd ask him about something. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. You're fine. That's nothing. That's child's play." I say, "Oh my God, no, you don't understand. It's such a huge thing happened in this chakra." It's like, "You're fine. It's no big deal. Just keep sitting, keep opening. Take the push out of it." So less like this, push, push, push. More like this, just open, relaxed, peaceful, at ease. Go forward in this way. Go forward in this way. Um, and Thomas, so sometimes when you come on retreat, say with a teacher, you join a lineage, um, things straighten themselves out. Or you work through things and you see, oh yeah, that was a big deal. Like I've had so many firework experiences, I don't think about any of them anymore. I'm just give myself permission just to be nothing, just to be vast, spacious, and silent, non-dramatic. So much more lovely, so much more extraordinary in the most ordinary way. Fireworks come and go, my friend. Come and go. If you want to work with me one-on-one sometime, this is something we could look into more deeply. Like we could look at it more precisely, what's happening in you, and if there's anything you need to be doing differently. But I'd tell you, take a little bit of fire out of your practice and just try to make your practice really basic. Just sit and open and be the love. Sit, open, be the love. We start with something simple, huh? Okay, here's another question. Let's see, I'm going to try to pronounce this person's name, but I hope I don't butcher it. Silji, or Silj. Hi, Craig. What is your take on the concept of star seeds? Um, I don't know. I don't know if I know what star seeds are. I don't know what the concept of that is. I don't believe in concepts. I believe in the direct experience. The direct experience. Maybe it goes back to that question. I asked in the beginning, where did you come from? If I think of a star seed, where did you come from? Where'd you come from? What is it that you are? I encourage you to let go of all concepts, every concept, and just be this love that you are. Be this light that you are. What is a star? A star is light. Be the light. What if you were that? What if you were just going to be a star? How beautiful would that be? Just be a star. And don't be a seed of a star. Be a manifestation of a star with jazz hands. With jazz hands. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Yeah, I don't know what a star seed is. I'm sorry. Um, you are a soul. You're a bright light. Be the bright light that you are. Okay, let me look here and see if I did my part. Some of you have been emailing me saying you really wanted to get in with me. I'm very booked up, very busy. If something opens up, I'll send you an email. But I have you on my cancellation list. I want to invite all of you to the retreat coming up this month. If you can make it happen, December 18th through the 20th. Thank you, Andrew. I'd love to have you. It'll be time for us to sit together and go deeper together. Spend some time in meditation, some deeper time in satsang, and to spend a weekend together just being silent and connecting with the hugeness of what you are. That's my invitation to you. Uh, and a big thank you to everyone offering donations and supporting the Sangha, supporting this broadcast. My heart is with you. So much love to each and every one of you. It's good to see y'all. So I'm back in business now. So we'll continue to have meditations on Wednesday, satsang on Sunday. So I'll see